Who hasn't been a little scared every now and again? The threat of death is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine when staring them in the face.
But unlike what most people would end up doing in this type of scenario, these two don't just cower and hide. Instead, they fight back.
Courage, the cowardly dog.
And Scooby-Dooby-Doo. I'm Brandon, the co-host.
And I'm like your main squeeze Max. I've required research on these two, and now we're going to transfer our knowledge to you, and then we'll explain who we think would win and why. Of course, there's also a fight simulation.
Alright, no more running away from it. Let's start with our first contestant, Courage, the cowardly dog.
We interrupt this program to bring you Courage, the Cowardly Dog Show, starring Courage, the Cowardly Dog!
Courage the Cowardly Dog is basically what you'd expect given his name. Often, Courage is faced with unimaginable horrors that plague his simple farmhouse in the middle of nowhere.
But his life didn't start out that way. In the beginning, Courage had a family, and barely had to ever face any of his creepy shenanigans. That was until he met a veterinarian, who took away his parents and sent him flying into outer space. Yeah.
Courage found himself all alone in the gutters with no family left. But he was soon found by Muriel, who adopted Courage and took care of him from then on. Unfortunately for Courage, she lives in the middle of nowhere, where horrifying things happen on a regular basis.
But even when things go wrong, Courage manages to often live up to his name and save Muriel and her husband Eustace from a grim demise. Some of that bravery may come from his pretty insane cartoony strength.
Courage is strong enough to lift Muriel and Eustace above his head effortlessly. He can smash through walls of his bare body, and he was once strong enough to uproot a huge tree that was tied to his back, and still walked around with it.
Couple that with the time he held up and swung around the Godbone, which was pretty massive in size. In terms of how fast this dog can run, Courage is fast enough to dodge lightning and laser fire. Plus, he was once capable of running to different countries in the span of less than a day.
So yes, on his feet he's very impressive, but it's nothing compared to his durability. Courage survives it all. He gets mangled, crushed, beaten, and battered, but always gets back up. Courage has survived pretty large explosions, and he once withstood being on the surface of the sun.
Yo, Max, don't forget the time he survived being smacked through literal planets with a tennis racket, or the time he shattered the sun just by screaming.
Actually, those feats are definite outliers of Courage. The other feats can all be backed up given how much he usually survives, but this cosmic stuff just doesn't hold up.
I guess you're right. So without that, he'd basically be in the building level more consistently? Well, still, even with what he lacks in cosmic power, he makes up for with his bizarre abilities. Courage has a tendency to shapeshift into a plethora of things, usually when he's trying to convey a message and is too scared to talk.
Courage is a skilled fighter, able to sword fight chickens and battle a martial arts empress. Courage can put himself in a spray can and spray himself out to become transparent. Courage can inhale a foe's attack and shoot it right back. And Courage can turn himself into liquid to get out of his foe's grasp.
Courage can also come back from almost anything. He's been ripped apart, mangled, and torn in two before, and yet here he is, managing to regenerate from it all. However, this doesn't mean he feels no pain. In fact, he does a lot, and it can wear him down, but it's unlikely you'll be able to ultimately kill him based off of his regeneration. Courage
also learned the art of astral projection, where he can become a spirit to enter people's dreams. Sounds like the plot to some Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Well anyways, Courage also has hypnosis, which he can use to put his foes under mind control.
But finally, we have Courage's greatest aforementioned skill, his ability to scream. If Courage screams loud enough, things will begin to break. It'll cause glass to break, houses to shake, and huge holes in the ground. But this scream will leave him completely exhausted afterwards, so it's essentially a trump card when he's backed into a corner.
For a dog, Courage is also pretty intelligent. He can talk to and even understand humans when he's not babbling nonsense. Courage is capable of setting up traps for monsters, and he usually outsmarts the monsters that he meets.
For example, he once tricked the zombie brothers into burying themselves by rewriting a script they were forced to abide to. Feats like this is why Courage is still alive. Oh, and of course his weapons.
Courage has access to a wacky assortment of weapons that he pulls from nowhere. like chainsaws, blowtorches, and mallets. Courage also has his ray gun that will basically transmutate his foe into something else.
Courage has some pretty potent explosives, which have been strong enough to blow up entire spaceships and banks. Courage has instant quicksand as a trap, and the aforementioned God Bone, a giant bone that Courage can swing around like a club. But what's truly notable about the bone is its attraction to dogs.
Any dog that licks this bone will be unable to stop licking this bone until they die. Courage managed to resist it though, but he'll still take the occasional lick.
But as skilled and, well, strange as he is, Courage is definitely not perfect.
You're not perfect.
While he can be courageous, he'll always start out as a complete coward, and will run from fights rather than battle in them. Courage is also pretty easy to tire out, especially after he does that super scream.
But even if he's a coward at some points, Courage is always willing to fight through dangerous situations to protect the ones he loves, ultimately living up to his name of Courage.
There's no such thing as perfect.
Huh?
You're beautiful as you are, Courage. With all your imperfections, you can do anything.
Scooby-Doo, the classic cartoon canine from the 70s who spends his days hanging with the mystery gang and solving, well, mysteries.
Scooby-Doo was born at the Douville Veterinary Hospital to Mumsy and Dada-Doo. His first words were Scooby-Doo, so his father decided to name him that. Sure, it's a better name than Dada-Doo.
Scooby's life always had some kind of unfortunate, horrifying edge to it. Even as an infant, he and Shaggy met a sea monster. And even as a pup, he and the gang had been solving their mysteries. So for Scooby's whole life, he had to deal with freaks in masks, and sometimes actual monsters.
But with his companion Shaggy Rogers at his side, Scooby is able to survive and help solve these mysteries, further helping his ability to survive is his cartoonish strength.
Yeah, for one, he and Shaggy once were able to defeat Joker and the Penguin. Yes, the DC villains, but more specifically the Adam West counterparts. His natural running is able to bust through walls, creating holes, and he can harm Shaggy, who has the same durability as Scooby himself.
But most impressive of all of his strength feats was the time Scooby and Shaggy were able to fight on par with the Black Samurai. The Black Samurai, mind you, was capable of clashing with the Green Dragon hard enough to trigger an earthquake and erupt a volcano.
Keep in mind that Scooby was capable of slicing the Black Samurai's sword in two, which survived colliding with the Green Dragon, with enough power to generate 24 gigatons of TNT. So yeah, pretty damn strong for a dog. He's also fast for a dog too.
Scooby can outrun monsters made of electricity, he can dodge lasers from a witch, and he once dodged a beam of light from the moon. Plus, upon eating Scooby snacks, Scoob can travel at nearly 5% of the speed of light, and the special nanite Scooby snacks allow him to travel at speeds that far exceed the speed of light.
Nanite Scooby snacks? Are we still talking about the crime dog that solves the mysteries and stuff? Well, anyway, this dog's durability should be able to scale to his ludicrous strength thanks to him taking hits from the samurai, as well as being able to harm Shaggy. There's also times where he survives long falls and explosions, but they don't look too impressive now that we've brought up the the Black Samurai.
Scooby also has himself a strange assortment of skills. For one, he's completely immune to mind control, because he doesn't have much of a mind to control. Scooby can create a door by painting on it like it's some kind of Roadrunner cartoon, and he has surprisingly shown the power of flight a few times.
Scooby can also reverse himself. He and Shaggy leaped away in fear, but when they learned there was nothing to fear back there, they stopped in midair and reversed right back to where they were before. Make of this what you will.
Scooby can also eat spicy food to shoot fire from his ears or mouth. And then there's also this running gag throughout the series where Scooby and Shaggy will wish for something, and it'll just come true! That's right, it'll just come true, for no reason. They've done this to wish enemies would go away even.
Man, Scooby's got hacks. Plus, he can apparently teleport, which he often does to go from one door on one side of the room to the door on the other side of the room. Scooby's also got one big appetite. He'll eat his way out of anything, even if he's eating wood or plastic. Ugh.
As a dog, Scooby also has a good nose, able to track down someone's scent. Finally, Scooby can also break the fourth wall and leave his very cartoon.
Now, while it may not seem like it, Scooby-Doo is actually pretty smart. Even though he's a dog, he talks like a normal person. Scooby will often use the environment to his advantage when he's running away and hiding from monsters too. Although, yeah, he's still a bit of a goof.
But he's a goof who's packing some insane weapons. For one, his iconic Scooby Snacks. He's got these nanite Scooby Snacks that can do a variety of things. But the two most important abilities, however, are Scooby's ability to become anyone he touches and his hyperspeed. With the first one, upon touching his foe, he will gain all of their physical attributes. And with hyperspeed, Scooby travels at speeds faster than light.
Scooby has pies he can throw around like this were the Three Stooges. He's got a magic broom to fly around with, a flying suit for the same thing, a helmet in case he needs to ride a bike in the middle of the fight for some reason, and some springs for more airtime. But wait, we already established he can fly himself. Why does he need a flying suit?
Scooby also has warp gates that Scooby can enter to travel from one place to another. Wait, he has his ability as well! Well, he's also got these disguises at hand. They probably wouldn't work in real life, but here in Cartoon Land, nobody can tell when a dog is wearing woman's clothing.
Scooby's also got a fire extinguisher to freeze his foes solid, and standard Scooby Snacks which can make him orbit the Earth in 3 seconds. Finally, Scooby's got a sweet set of high-tech armor, even equipped with Gatling guns on the side.
They drew first blood, not me.
But even Scooby has his flaws. Of course, he's a bit of a coward. He'll run from fights faster than he'd ever participate in them. Plus, even though he's a smart dog, he's also pretty naive and easily tricked.
But at the end of it all, Scooby proves to be much more than some simple dog with a speech impediment. Always willing to help his friends out and resolve whatever mystery he sets out to solve.
Who do you think you are? Scooby? Dooby? Doo!
Alright, the two powerful pups are prepared for battle, or they'll just run away.
Will the cowardly dog make Scooby scream, or will Scooby do courage in?
Let's find out.
Like Zoink Scoop! This place is like really giving me the creeps. Yeah, creeps.
Ruh-roh, it's a rat.
Like, don't worry, Scoob. They're always like telling us there's no such thing as monsters. Like, it's always like some kind of hologram, or some guy in a mask, or... Yes!
Raggy? You mess with Raggy, you mess with me.
Engage.
This shouldn't happen to a dog.
Reverie Rob Razzie.
No! Ah! Rupert Rog? Scooby-Doo!
Nice. Knew Scooby would win. Just knew it.
Aw, I wanted Courage to win. But I guess this makes more sense, actually, when you begin to look at it.
Now I know what all you Courage fans are thinking right now. Sure, Courage's Toon Force before has allowed him some feats such as destroying the sun with his scream, but this is yet to happen at any other point, and in other cases where Courage has screamed with even more force, it's only been able to destroy buildings, making it seem iffy and a little unfair to base our conclusion off of one or two feats.
The same thing can be said for that feat where Courage gets hit through the moon. It just contradicts his other feats way too much. Meanwhile, Scooby's got multiple continuities, and it's far more disconnected, meaning Scooby having differences in power that's more drastic makes sense. Plus, Scooby not only fought on par with the island level character, but broke his sword, and scales to Shaggy, who can fight on par with him very well. So it's a lot more consistent anyways.
This ultimately meant that Courage was standing at building level, while Scooby stood even taller at island level. So Scooby had a huge strength and durability advantage. But what about speed? Well, Scooby is faster in both reaction and travel speed, especially with the nanite Scooby Snacks. Compare Scooby's relativistic base speeds to Courage's massively hypersonic speeds, and it paints a pretty clear picture that Scooby holds the physicality advantage.
Most of Scooby's abilities and arsenal outweigh Courage, including a much greater resistance to mind control, which means no hypnosis. But Courage's regeneration could still be tricky. Courage has more going for him in intelligence, but Scooby can be said to have the greater experience.
Both have great arsenals, and Courage may have that bone, but Scooby's nanite Scooby Snacks are way more helpful. Sure, the bone would be good for distracting him at first, but what's Courage gonna do next? It's not like he's strong enough to kill Scooby even if he's got him off guard. Plus, Scooby would probably just eat the whole bone, given his appetite.
Finally, Scooby has hacks on his side. If he's in deep trouble, nothing's stopping him from simply wishing Courage away, or touching him after eating a copy nanite Scooby Snack, which would literally give him the same abilities as Courage, taking away all the advantages he had.
So basically, the only thing Courage has going for him was his regeneration and intelligence. But sadly, that's just not enough to win here.
The winner is Scooby-Doo!
That's my pal, Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
We hope you enjoyed this Halloween episode of Maximum Combat. First of all, I really need to thank Ribbit Theater for helping me out a ton with the Scooby research. I'd also like to thank Dr. Moo DB for allowing us to use his Courage research. Special thanks also goes to Raccoon Bro for voicing Courage, and Rar's Revenge for voicing Scooby-Doo. Also, as you may have noticed in this video, me and Brandon have these new character stills. They were drawn for us by Chell, who you can find in the link in the description below.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you look forward to what we do next. Speaking of which, let's show off what's coming next on Maximum Combat.